What's up, guys? Today I want to talk to you all about how I was able to build a $1 million real estate portfolio by the age of 25. For those of you all who don't know me, my name is Gerald Jordan. I'm a licensed realtor here in the DC metropolitan area, and I'm top 10 in the nation in sales. But today I want to go over how I was able to amass a $1 million real estate portfolio in just a few years. And just full transparency up front, this is not me trying to flex. This is not me trying to prove myself better than anybody else. I want to show you all, as a 25-year-old African-American growing up here in Prince George's County, Maryland, how I was able to achieve the American dream plus some. Real estate is a very dynamic field. There are many ways you can invest your money, which I'll talk about today, but to achieve true financial freedom, you want to own real estate. The true power is in ownership. There's a lot that comes with ownership, such as things breaking, tenants not paying rent on time, turnover, vetting the right tenants, vetting the right property manager. There's a lot that goes into owning real estate that people don't see. People's goal is to often buy property to achieve passive income, but it's very far from passive. So today I want to talk about how I was able to amass such a huge portfolio and how you can do it too. Now, before we touch on the first property, I want to talk to you about what it took to get there and a little bit about my personal background. Born and raised here in Prince George's County, Maryland, I went to DeMatha High School and eventually went to the University of Richmond, where I got a full athletic scholarship. During my time at Richmond, I started for 3 years on the football team, but I quickly found out that the NFL just wasn't my calling. My sophomore year in college, my mom hopped into the field of real estate, where she was with Exit Landmark Realty, and during my senior season, figuring out what life had for me, I thought, why not just get into real estate, right? It'll be a very easy path. It'll be a very good transition. My mother was killing it. She won Rookie of the Year for the county, and I wanted to follow her footsteps. So shortly after graduation, graduated May, Mother's Day of 2018, I started taking my real estate classes, passed my real estate, and then here in Maryland, you have to take 60 hours of real estate class, and then you have to take the national and state test. I failed the national and state test my first time trying. I was devastated. I didn't know if real estate was for me, because at that time I believe you could only take it twice. But the next time I passed with flying colors and took the leap into going into the real estate field. And real estate is very hard. I quickly came to realize that you're thrown in the fire. They don't teach you how to do real estate when you're in those classes. You have to learn by shadowing people. You have to learn by actually doing the work. So my first year in real estate, I sold a handful of properties, about 4 properties for about $1 million. My second year, I grew. I sold about 13 properties for a total of about 4 million. And it grew from there, and I just never looked back. Real estate took off. It was my route. A lot of people get into real estate. It's a very high turnover rate, but I found out real estate was for me. I was good at it. I was putting in the work that people were. Fast forwarding to today, I've been able to sell over $100 million in real estate. I've won top 40 over 40 for the DC Real Producers magazine. I've won a platinum award for my county association, Prince George's County Association of Realtors. And the most important and fulfilling part about this journey is that I've been able to turn long-term clients into friends. Now let's backtrack to 2019 when I went under contract for my first property. This is a story that I tell a lot of my first-time home buyers. Me and my then girlfriend, who's now my fiance, we were going to different homes in different areas. One, because I was still pretty new in real estate. This is the end of 2019. I got my license back in 2018, but still fairly new. So I was getting acclimated to different areas, what price points were, etc. So we would look at different new construction areas after church. We ran into one down in Southern Maryland where we actually liked the property. The numbers made sense, and we moved forward with it. Unbeknownst to us that we would buy a property that day, or at least go under contract for one, we did. So one thing based off that story I like to tell my first time home buyers is to be prepared. You never know when you're going to find the home that is perfect for you. Maybe the first property you see, just like the one we saw, or it may be 5-6 months down the line. But it's always best to be prepared for when that time comes. So we go under contract in 2019, then we hit 2020. What happened in 2020? The pandemic. We did not know what was to come of our house. There were so many delays because of infrastructure, supply chain. There were so many issues that nobody knew what was happening. But we eventually closed mid 2020. It was about a 2-month delay or so, but buying this property when I did was one of the best decisions I could have made. That property, because it's my primary property, I don't want to get into the exact numbers, but let's just say I have over $100,000 of equity in that specific property. Fast forward to 2021, one of my goals for that year was to buy an investment property on my birthday. And I did just that. I purchased a condo in Bowie for $180,000 at around a 4% interest rate. So my mortgage is about $900, but I rent it out for $1,800. So with this property, I used a conventional loan, putting 20% down. So when you're purchasing investment properties where you're going to buy and hold, you can't purchase it like you're purchasing a primary residence. You have to put a substantial amount down. In this case, I had to put down 20% of my own money to be able to purchase this specific condo. One thing a lot of people ask is if they can use an FHA loan to be able to purchase a property and rent it out. And the answer is no. When you're looking to purchase an investment property, you have to put 20% or more down. If not, you get into what's called mortgage fraud. And that's something we completely want to avoid. It can result in jail time and fines. So for this specific property, I put down 20% using a conventional loan, and I was able to immediately rent it out. Buying this condo made me understand that I don't want to buy more condos. When you invest in condos, you have to worry about condo fees increasing on a yearly basis, sometimes even a quarterly basis. But one good thing is that if things start to leak through the walls or whatever the case may be, the condo association does have to take care of it. Moving on to the third and final property in my portfolio, I was able to acquire this using an investor version of the FHA 203K loan called a home style renovation loan. Now, under a home style renovation loan, of course, you have to put 20% down, but you're able to finance the repairs of the property into the loan. So I purchased this property for $250,000. I put in right over $100,000 of work. And remember, all that's financed into the purchase. And this property is now worth $450,000. So not only am I sitting on tons of equity, but I rented it out at a profit as well. So my cash on cash return for this investment is about 18% yearly. So the process of using a renovation loan, FHA 203K, home style renovation loan, all the same thing, is that you first and foremost have to get with what's called a HUD consultant. This consultant is specific to these type of loans, and consultants are there to advise you throughout this entire process. They help you connect your contractor's numbers with what their numbers are, and everybody meets into a happy medium. And of course, the other person that you bring onto this project is your contractor, the person who's going to be able to do the work. Them and the HUD consultant, again, work together in tandem on numbers, make sure that the numbers make sense and are congruent and meet the specifications of your project. Now, depending on the scope of project, depending on how fast your workers work, depending on the size of the house, the timeline varies from start to finish. For this specific project, it took about 4 months. So I purchased this property in August of 2022, and it took me till about November, right before Thanksgiving, where I listed the property. When I first bought this property, it was awful. But before we get into the story time, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So before work begins on a renovation loan, of course, you have your checks and balances with both the contractor and the HUD consultant. Again, their goal is to make sure that the numbers make sense and work for your scope of project. So when I first got the property, here are some of the videos of how it looked before. As you can see, this property needed a lot of work, from renovating the entire kitchen, to the floors, to the bathrooms and the bedrooms, to the downstairs den. Everything needed work. And using the home style renovation loan, I was able to finance this $100,000 repair into the purchase of the property. And of course, it appreciated for much higher, so I had so much room to do so. And the beauty of this is that I only did it with 20% down. Again, this is because I was an investor and wanted to immediately rent it out. If you want to do an FHA 203K loan, you can do this with as little as 3.5% down. That's the beauty of using renovation loans, is that you can turn something from this to this. As I said earlier in the video, a lot of people want to own real estate to get a passive source of income, but real estate is far from passive. There are many things you have to do. You have to reinvest into your property. You have to change windows. You have to make sure that your HVAC is working. You have to make sure that your hot water heater is working. Things like that will go out and those cost over time. So while you want a passive source of income, this is very far from passive. Sometimes you have to go over there and winterize the house. You have to go over there during times where the house is vacant to be able to clean it, take care of it, and make sure that there are no squatters in the property. There's a lot of things that you have to do outside of just renting the house and providing housing for somebody that a lot of people don't take into consideration. What happens when your tenant stops paying the rent? What does that process look like? And every state is different. Here in Maryland, I have something that happened to me very recently.
Be a landlord, they say. Own property until you end up here in landlord tenant court. Just got out of court, got my Starbucks, but I'm getting my property back, and that's a win. And while I hated going through the process, and I'm still going through the process, I've learned a lot. And the main thing I would consider if you're a new landlord is to hire a property manager. You can self-manage. I self-manage this and a few of my other properties, but I made the business decision to hire a property manager when things got real unchy with this deal, just to remove my emotions from any decision making I would have done. It made us abide by the contract.
But tenant law is vary per state. Here in Maryland, it's not necessarily tenant friendly. It's not necessarily landlord friendly. It's very neutral. You do have tenant friendly states where whatever the tenant says goes. You have landlord friendly states where if your tenant's behind on payments, in 5 days, you can evict them. It's a lot of different laws that you have to understand per your state's guidelines to understand if renting in this property and being a landlord makes a difference. But owning real estate has truly changed my life. Not only do I have monthly cash flow that goes into my pocket, but I also have tons of equity into these properties. The property I purchased in Bowie at $180,000, it's now valued at $215,000. The property in Fort Washington, I purchased it for $250,000, put in $100,000 worth of work. So overall $350,000, but it's worth $450,000. My primary residence, I have over $100,000 of equity into that property. This is what makes a difference and makes true generational wealth, is ownership and having tons of equity in these specific properties. And this is not to mention the other real estate ventures I've done. I've done tons of fix and flips. I've done wholesales. And if you're looking for a wholesale masterclass, you can click the link below to be able to gain access to my masterclass, where I explain what wholesaling is, how to find motivated sellers, how to find buyers, how to build your buyer list, how to pitch your deals, and overall, how to get your first wholesale deal in the next 90 days. But real estate investing is one of the more profitable investments you can make. It has higher returns than the stock market usually, and it's a solid asset that you can physically see, feel, and touch. Real estate changed my life, and with the right investment strategy, I'm sure it can change yours too. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more real estate content, and turn on your notifications. I have tons of house tours coming up. And if you like this video, I'm sure you'll like this video too. It's Gerald Jordan, your favorite DMV realtor. I'm checking out.